All right. Well, I'm liking this. I'm getting people to come over to the right side. This is good. Thank you. So, it's so good to see all of you this morning. So, how was the first week of school? Tiring. Good. Was it good?
Yeah, I went to Southern Door.
Yeah, I know you do. That's so cool. So, I'm just wondering, who is in like a new building this year? Yeah, a few of you. Yeah, you going to Genevieve. So you went from which to where? Sawyer to Sunrise. Is Sunrise different, Sawyer? Yeah. How was middle school? You know how to open your locker? Oh, that's a good thing to know. Yeah. Did anybody go to 4K for the first time? Oh, how do you like it? Huh? Is it good? Oh, good. I'm so excited for you. So I bet Mom's a little sad, but that's wonderful. So do you have any like fall traditions, things that happen every fall that you look forward to? June? Homecoming? Yep, that's a lot of fun. Christmas? Yeah, I like that too. Every seasonally. Yes. You pick your pumpkins out? Yep.
Easter.
Yeah, I love Easter too. So, Genevieve? Oh, jumping in leaf piles. That is a great fall tradition. Well, I'm going to show you one of mine. Does anybody know what this is? June? It is the root beer float cup that is downstairs. I look forward every year to this day, tailgate party, because I get to go downstairs and I get to have a root beer float because I don't get them too often. So, but it's a wonderful fall tradition, and also the reason I like it is because it tells me that we are back doing all the things here at church that we love to do. So this week starts youth groups, and next Sunday starts Sunday school, and it's important. Today in our sermon, we're going to talk a little bit about how we need to be good disciples for Jesus, that we need to be good followers. And one of the ways that we do that is by participating in all these activities here at church that are going to help you grow in your faith and strengthen the community and the bonds that we have. So I look forward to all the fun that we're going to be having this year and all the opportunities that we grow, and what a blessing it is as the fall comes and we look forward to these things. Thank you all for coming up. It's been very good to spend this time together.
Today's reading comes from Luke chapter 14, verses 25 through 33. Large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and turning to them, he said, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish.' Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples."
You sit in the crowded waiting area of the airport. You're jammed in with all the other people who are eager and stressed to try to get where their travels are taking them. And the announcement comes. We have overbooked this flight. We need 5 volunteers. We will provide you with compensation. We'll get you on a later flight. Now, everyone that's jammed in that waiting area begins that process, don't they? They start counting the cost. There are those who are on the one extreme, who are thinking, no, I need to get home, or I need to get to this meeting. You better not be bumping me from this flight. To those who are a little bit more leisurely in their travels, who are rubbing their hands together and thinking, maybe I'm going to get a really good deal out of this. And we've all heard stories, maybe you have your own, as the desperation of the ticket agents rises, the pot keeps growing. And when do you go up and say yes? How long do you wait? Who will get the prize? What are you willing to do to give up your seat? I have known some folks over the years that have had amazing things happen. Friends, this is a clear-cut example of a situation in life where we sit in that moment and we are clearly holding two options in our hand, and we are clearly weighing the cost of a decision. Our lesson today is a very challenging call from Jesus. A challenging call for those who are following him, and it demands a decision on our part as we consider it. In the story, we are told that very large crowds were following him around. What is inferred here is that the dynamic of popularity had kicked in. I saw a post this week that had all the logos of all the NFL teams. And the post said, everyone needs to pick a team right now so that we can know without having to argue about it later who jumped on what bandwagon. It seems that by this point in his ministry, Jesus is turning around and looking at these massive crowds that had started following him, and he's wondering about who's jumping on the bandwagon. Those who were mindlessly following the crowd, because that is what appeals to them. And so he tells them this very shocking thing. He says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father, his mother, his spouse, children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry their cross cannot be my disciple. Now, out of context, the demand to hate the people that we are the closest to seems to be pretty harsh, but in context, it does not. He's asking these crowds who are following him, what are you willing to give up in order to follow me? What I find fascinating is that the two examples that he gives is one is about a building project and one is about a king going to war. And these examples are interesting because both of these examples are places where the people who are weighing the cost have the option and the serious consideration to say no. Jesus gives these examples to make a point. To be a Christian and a true follower of Jesus involves being able to say yes, and it involves sacrifice. Now, God's grace, salvation, the gift of love given to us is given freely. The cost of what was paid for that by Jesus was paid on the cross. But a willingness to follow him, to grow into the person that we are called to be as one of his followers, that calls for commitment and the sacrifice of our selfishness in order to let him be the Lord of our lives. I invite us to focus here on that idea of sacrifice. Sacrifice for a purpose. Sacrifice for something greater. Sacrifice that is more than just giving up a seat in order to get a better deal. Sacrifice that brings faith, hope, and love. Sacrifice that builds the kingdom of God in us and in the world. Friends, we make sacrifices all the time in our day-to-day living. Often what we do, though, doesn't make sense, what we're sacrificing, because what it is that we get sucked along into the busyness and the schedule and the mindless activity that is so often part of our modern existence that I don't know if we're really stopping and considering what we're giving up. As we talk with the children, my heart goes out to parents because at this time of the year, it starts cranking up, doesn't it? And the older they get, the harder it gets. And we end up hopping on that express of being busy when what we need to be doing very often is sitting down and taking a deep breath and counting that cost. The cost of where we say yes to everything, where we might need to say no. To say no and not do every extracurricular and not surrender to the demands of all the coaches and the leaders. And because year after year, everyone running ragged mounts up to quickly being that we've sacrificed all kinds of other things like family time, like hard-earned money, like sleep, where we actually end up at the point where every Sunday night you're dreading Monday morning. Is it worth it? People sacrifice relationships because that's easier than the hard work of working it out. Or they sacrifice peace and wholeness because they have simply surrendered in the pressure of trying to please, or out of the fear of shame that can come from going in a new direction or for standing up for oneself. Friends, we sacrifice things all the time. We pay all the time. The question is, have we counted the cost? What's the long game? What's the long game in a marriage, in being a parent or a grandparent? What are the prices that we pay for things? Are we paying for things that are fleeting? Or are we counting the cost for what is eternal and lasting? And so what's the value of your faith? You know, too often I think we skate along in life until tragedy or illness or some significant thing challenges us and forces us into a place where we really have to value and consider and test and understand deeply. I'd like to suggest that when it comes to our faith needs to be considered, tested, and understood. To not mindlessly be going along with the crowd or mindlessly saying we are a follower of Jesus because that's what the people did before us, but to make that our decision. And when we make that our decision, then we bring value to our faith. We are not blindly following the crowd, but we are there because we are willing to follow the Lord. How does your faith bring value? How does it impact others? How does it please and serve the God who created you and redeemed you? What value does your faith bring into your relationships, into your work environment, into your social relationships, into this community, into this world? Reader raised up in his prayers Jane Nesbitt. I love what Jane does because she is regularly a person who takes herself to the places where people are in the greatest of need. And that is an outpouring of her faith. Where is it that the cost of discipleship is making a difference in us, that we are willing to take risks and we are willing to make sacrifices in order to follow Jesus? For each one of us, it is different because all of us bring different things to the table as we are created unique as the children of God. Each of us has skills and intuition and character that can serve the Lord and serve this world in our unique way. Not that we all need to be getting on a plane and flying to where a hurricane is, but what is it that we can be doing right here and right now with one another? And so, friends, we carry the cross. We do this not because that is what earns us God's love, but we do it in response to the fact that Jesus carried the cross for us. Amen.